no problem. Just point us to where we can buy the authentic products to use, because they told us they were authentic and they were fakes. And that if we use the fake ones, that were not like the A-rated ones, that things could go wrong and someone could die. So we got the contacts, we bought the things, and we started the process of shipping them to Nigeria. But in the process, I, as a director, I went back to, you know what, I won't just take what this guy does. Let me do my own research. So I went online, and this is where research is important. So I went online and I started looking at videos of burning buildings and people on fire. And I stumbled upon this video where there was a fire and the firefighters were containing the fire, everything was going well, till another set of firefighters decided to go inside. The moment they opened the door and allowed oxygen in, the whole building exploded.
Yeah.
So I now called these guys and I'm like, wow, check this thing out. And now I'm thinking, this guy who is on fire, does it matter if he's breathing or if he holds his breath? Because if he allows oxygen in, do you think the fire will? And they were like, oh, that's interesting. You know, they never thought of that too, that perhaps it would be better if he could hold his breath.
And you know what? When I was watching
And they never told us that bit. You get what I'm trying to say?
yeah. And you know
So,
when I was
yeah.
watching that burning body, I was really, and this guy is serious, burning on somebody like that.
Yeah.
Because I know that there was once in Nollywood last year when somebody had an accident because of filming. And the person either died or survived, but it was very severe. So you telling me now that you went all the way to ensure that it worked and nobody would get hurt? Very
Yeah.
interesting.
In fact, the first exercise we started doing was how long he could hold his breath while on fire, because we suddenly realized that it was key to the success of this stunt that the actor could hold his breath and not inhale oxygen, because we don't know what the outcome might be. So for several months, Aniyo will come to the studio. We had guys who would just be pushing him, and of course he's a fighter. He does is it Tai Chi or which one? So of course, and he could, from first day we tried, and Yo could hold his breath under pressure for 30 seconds.
Really?
We did not stop till he could hold his breath under pressure, with guys punching him and kicking him and pushing him around. When we realized he could hold his breath under that kind of pressure for 2 minutes, then we knew we were getting close to doing this. But then again, the reality was that being punched and being tossed and being pushed around is not the same thing as having fire on your body. You get what I'm trying to say? So on the day we got to set, what we now said, you know what? We have fire extinguishers. We have a fire truck on standby. We have sand just in case. We have water in buckets just in case. What if all these things fail? So what became critical next was, let's find a location where we shoot that sequence that is very close to a stream. So we had to find a part of an express road that when you look to your right and left, there was a stream or a river there. And then we got this pumping machine and we left the pumping machine on and it was pumping water. And we said, just in case the fire extinguisher fails, the sand doesn't work, the fire truck fails, this pump is pumping. So, and Annie you had to go and inspect all those different things one after the other before he signed off on his contract to say, I'm going to do it, because we created a separate contract for him because of that fire. So again, you cannot play around research. Research is everything. Anybody who doesn't see the importance of research should actually find something else to do, not film. Not film.
Yes, and that does it because when people say they make movies so simple, let me use the word so simple, so pedestrian, they mean to convince the immediate audience that they have in Nigeria and Africa to make money, of course, to put food on the table. And I keep telling people, you could make movies that could serve, that could play on screens in China, play on screens in Iceland, play on screen in Norway, even South America. I mean, so and what they always tell me for an answer is, look, we have our audiences, and these audiences are giving us money. Now, how do you, Stanlee, any to survive as a filmmaker who makes artistic films?
Yeah, but you see, again, you see, when you were talking, you see, I was nodding my head, and that's the reality. Many of the guys who make the kind of movies that you complain about already have their audience. So to them, it is not a question of who is going to see this movie or how it's going to be distributed. They have, it's like having ready-made audience. It's like now there's a lockdown, everybody needs food stuff, and you are the only person who's supplying food in Nigeria. That's how easy it is for people who make those movies, because they've had this audience and they've grown those audiences and all that, and the people are just there. We, on the other hand, who don't make just any kind of movies and all that, the important thing for people like us is to make sure that filmmaking is not your all in all. It's not your all in all. You have to make sure you have multiple streams of income so that you don't get frustrated and get pushed to the wall to begin to jump into the bandwagon of everybody who's just doing films anyhow. So find something else or a couple of other things to do that can bring money to you
And in your
beyond
case,
fame.
and in your case, it's like a roller coaster from being a professional artist, fine artist. There are like
Exactly. As in, look, I'm an. Let me even listen. Let me tell you. Let me, in
go
fact,
on, go on.
let me use. No, hold on. Let me use the opportunity to encourage maybe a young guy there who's thinking this thing he's saying, how practical it is. When I resigned from my paid employment at DigiPrince back in the day, the first thing I did was that I had a list of people. I had a list. I have that book still with me till today, and I wrote out what are all the things you can do, and I wrote them down. And I had another column, all the things I would love to learn to do in addition to the ones I can do now. So I had those two things and I listed them down. And today I can boldly tell you that from the things I could do and the new things I wanted to learn to do, they are all still intact. So all those skills are still there. And this happened at the time when I wasn't married. So I had all the time in the world to develop myself. So I'm a painter, I'm a sculptor, I'm a graphic artist, I'm an illustrator. I I do animation, I do motion graphics, I do sound, I can edit, I can just name it. And the ones I added to say, oh, I wanted to learn, of course, were directing, photography. I wasn't thinking of cinematography, I was like photography. If I can take good pictures, what it takes to make good movies is just applying the same technique of taking good pictures to a motion picture, and I'll have good videos. And that's exactly what I did. I spent 2 years volunteering to take pictures at my friends' weddings and all that. And I told myself, I'm going to take these pictures without using a flash. So that means any image I miss is very dangerous. So I had to master the whole settings of cameras, when to use what shutter speed, when to use what aperture. And the one thing I told myself I would never touch was ISO. So between my shutter speed and my aperture, I mastered how to control lights to get the images I wanted. And of course, the moment I made my very first short film, it was a bang because I had mastered that. So again, it's being able to learn so many things that you can do at the same time to make money without being confined to just one thing. Because once you're confined to just one thing, and that's the only thing you can make money from, you will always compromise.
That's right, my brother. So what about those that do one thing and won't compromise?
Well, it's a great step. I wish everybody all the best, and I hope that one day that hard work will pay, and then it will be another sorry tale of disappointment.
So, yeah. Scaling up pays a lot. I mean, scaling up, that's one thing that seemed to be lacking amongst very young Nigerians. Scaling up and preparing oneself for opportunities that will come. And then, so looking at all that you've done all your life, you've been a graduate of fine arts from University of Benin, you are a graduate of general arts from Yaba College of Technology, you're self-taught 3D animator. I can't count them. What legacies would you leave behind for the young ones you're talking about in terms of story directions, techniques? Yours is surrealism and the rest of them, innovations, marketing, business, and sustainability. Because if you take care of all the things you've said, like you've done, you have a sustainable career and a sustainable filmmaking career that will put food on your table and put you out as a formidable, recognizable, and renowned filmmaker.
Yeah. I think personally, what I tell everybody, whether I choose not to use that word young filmmaker, a filmmaker is a filmmaker, whether it's a starting filmmaker or even an established filmmaker, or even my peers, I keep telling everybody, guy, just Be true to yourself, do things the way you want to do them. Have your signature that is easily recognizable with all your works. And that is the most important thing for an artist. And the same thing goes for a filmmaker. Because a fine artist without a style will never be documented in history. There will be no Vincent van Gogh if he didn't come up with a style. There will be no Pablo Picasso if he didn't start Cubism. There will be no Rembrandt if he didn't master the art of expressionism and if he didn't take it to the extreme as he did. There will be no Jackson Pollock if there wasn't a Salvador Dali who brought surrealism from Spain to New York. So again, people inventing, there will be no surrealism if there wasn't Andrew Brenton who wasn't even a an artist but a writer. But then there will be no expansion of the whole idea of surrealism if there wasn't a Salvador Dali who came on board and joined the surrealist movement. So again, everything boils down to someone having a style and a signature to everything that he does. So when, as a filmmaker, you have a signature to your works, you stand out. Even if 2,000 filmmakers crop up every other day, as long as your work is unique and distinguishable, you always stand out.
With that, with what you've just said now, and looking at Nollywood, we've had movies going to cinemas and making so much money. Uh, have you ever been consulted in such movies? We've seen movies like what do they call them? Movies is that forgotten the titles, but that made so much money in the cinemas. Has anybody ever, any of these filmmakers or producers ever consulted you to come and advise on one thing or input in one thing to realize so and so?
Yeah, in terms of advising or input, yeah, fine. I get that a lot. In terms of coming to tell me to direct, I'm very choosy. A lot of people criticize me and say, "Oh, you only do your own thing." But come on, guy, I'd rather do what is true to me. What I'm making a film like an art piece. So every film I make is the effort I would have put into making a painting on a canvas. I'm making a movie. So it has to have my unique signature. So if someone comes to me with a story to say, "Oh, I want you to direct this story," if that story will not give me the opportunity to sign a signature that I'm proud of on a film product, then I'd rather not do it. Because again, I would have spent precious time I would have used to tell a signature story on another movie that is just there that I won't even talk about in my career. And I've done that once. I did it once and I told myself never again.
Oh, well, that's like signing off. I will never do anything that will not allow my signature to be written. After all, every director of a movie is the movie turns out to be named after the director. This is
Yeah, it's a director's movie. Yeah.
yeah. So why would you accept something that will not allow you to sign your signature? Now
Yeah. Yeah.
coming to signing signatures before we sign up finally. What advice would you give to script writers who keep on churning the so-called? I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry to use the word so-called. Who keep on churning so many movies that are shot fortnightly or monthly on the go, and they finish, they print, they distribute. What advice do you actually give to people who actually create the stories, who come up with concepts, who will write the scripts? What advice would you give to them?
Well, I don't know if I can advise them. Those guys are making their money and they're okay. Again, it's purpose, you see. Yeah, there's a
Somebody,
popular saying.
I heard somebody who earn as much as $50,000 a piece.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is that it's simple. It's purpose. There's a saying, but I think it's my Morales says, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. If the purpose that you have as a filmmaker is to do so much work and make so much money and retire as a happy old man or old woman, fine. If that's what you are doing, you're fulfilling your purpose, you're good. If your purpose as a filmmaker is to leave your signature and your footprints in the sands of time by putting out your signature out there that future generations can see them and even study your work. And if that's what you're doing, and you're doing it well, then you're fulfilling your purpose. So again, it's a very subjective thing. It's as subjective as your style of filmmaking, And again, that takes me to one question you asked, but you didn't finish the last time, talking about film critique.
I'm
Film
always
critique.
I'm always trying to run away from those because
No, no, don't run away from me. No, don't run away from
Try
me.
somebody's to
You
find
know,
make
no, no.
it.
Here's the truth. Everybody should be open to critique. Every filmmaker should be open to critique, but they should know as well when to defend their craft from pervasive mediocres who hide behind a critic cloak without the understanding of film and filmmaking techniques or peculiarities of directors to just sprout rubbish about films. Because I am a filmmaker, so I know about films. If I were to become a critic and say that's what I'm today, I'll be doing that from the standpoint of understanding the objectives of film, but also appreciating and upholding the subjectivity of the storytelling of individual and personal filmmakers. Each director has a style, a Christopher Nolan or a Francis Ford Coppola or anybody. Imagine if Leonardo da Vinci, Jackson Pollock, Vincent van Gogh, and let's say Salvador Dali were all filmmakers. Salvador Dali was a filmmaker. He made like 5, 6 films. Imagine if they were all filmmakers. Imagine how subjective each of their films would be. So if you come in as a critic to critique those movies, first of all, you wear the hat of the objective of filmmaking, where that objectivity is there. But again, you cannot run away from the subjective nature of what's going on in the mind of the creators of these movies. And if you do not understand what's going on in the minds of these creators and you've not gone to study it, you have no right to come and say anything about this because you are talking about what you do not understand.
Right.
That is what happens to most people who call themselves critics in Nigeria today. Because the goal of criticism or film critique is to keep things constructive for everything, the whole industry to get better. Not spewing out just anything that comes to your guts just because you feel you have the right to say anything. There's a lot of sensationalism going on out there on social media, and everybody just goes, they have good command of words and all that. They go and just talk anything they like about movies. They are not even looking at, and you're looking at the basic things they should be considering in their critique or their review of the movie, and everything is absent. But what I'll say to every filmmaker, keep an open mind. The best way to master the act of being open to criticism is to attend film festivals. Your films are shown to a crowd of people who don't care about you, who don't know you, who are most likely, maybe they've never even heard of you or seen your movie before. They see it and they give you honest feedback. And if you've done a good job, you always have a very credible answer for every petition that's put in front of you. But if you've done a bad job and they notice it, I tell people when they come to our festival, when the viewers notice the mistake you made, just own up, don't defend it because they will tear you apart.
In conclusion, and to sign off, people have been talking to a very formidable filmmaker who came from a background of fine arts and painting, who has, done what an educated man should do when it comes to his profession, bringing his past, his culture, his personality, and according to him, signing his signature on everything that he does. Mr. Stanlee, I'm so happy to have talked to you.
Thanks, man.
So what's the last word so that we go and it again because of COVID-19?
Well, what I'll say to everybody is just stay true to yourself. Don't ever think of following the crowd, even if the crowd looks lucrative. Don't follow the crowd because history will forget you with the crowd. History never forgets people who stand out. So don't roll with the crowd just for acceptance or for instant gratification. Dare to be yourself and dare to stand alone.
All right, sir. Thank you for talking to us. We're
Thanks,
so
man.
happy to have you. We're going to have you again because we know you're doing some jobs that we'll have to discuss. Thank you so much. Thank you. You have a good day,
Thanks.
confinement. Enjoy your lunch.